Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Bob, how's Tampa treating you so far?
But I'll tell you that if it's like this in March, I can imagine what it's like in July. But it's nice. It's a different place to have it. They had it here in 2009. Second time they've had it. It's obviously a great area. Everybody that came down for the Arkansas bowl game knows that. But from geographic standpoint, it's obviously on the outer edge of the SEC. But I went to the game last night to watch Missouri and Ole Miss play, and they had a solid crowd. They do a smart thing on a Wednesday night. It's open seating, $15, and I've seen fans from basically every school down here. Kentucky probably have the most fans like usual. I think Auburn will have a lot of fans. You think Arkansas, with the years they've had back-to-back, and have a good crowd. So it's definitely a nice place to be, like on vacation or something. I don't know if it's the best location for the tournament, but it's a nice place to be for sure.
And that's how I kind of feel like what the SEC did. And, obviously Tampa wants it for bits of tourism. But, sometimes it's nice to mix it up. Nashville's always probably going to be the home of the SEC basketball tournament, just like Hoover's always the home of the baseball tournament. But it wouldn't hurt to shake it up every once in a while and give fans a chance to possibly go somewhere different. So you went to Missouri Ole Miss. Did you stay around for Georgia and Vandy last night? Did you stay for that big 30-point blowout?
No, I didn't. I was glad I didn't. That was it was a pretty lopsided game, and that was pretty obvious that's Tom Crean's last game as Georgia's coach, and I think I'll give him credit for having those kids playing hard throughout the season, but it looked like maybe last night, maybe knowing their coach is going to be fired, and probably just I think that was their 12th straight loss. I think maybe you could see those guys kind of collapse under the weight of all that. Not knocking the kids. I think that's just human nature. It's very, very hard when you're losing like that, when your coach is going to be gone. There's a lot of negativity around the program. I think it's really, really hard. So I give Georgia credit for not maybe caving in earlier, but that obviously was a team that was, playing on fumes, I think, probably mentally as much as physically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it is very hard to expect a team, especially that's coming in at last place in the SEC, have only won one SEC game to really to get up emotionally for a task of winning 5 games in 5 days to keep their season alive. It doesn't happen very often. I think the last time I remember a school being able to do that was UConn, I think, did it in the Big East about 10 years ago. So it's not something that you see happen a lot. Now for the Razorbacks, they get started tomorrow either against Missouri or LSU. I think the biggest question mark and what most people are wanting to find out and hear is the status of Au'Diese Toney. I heard a report that he wasn't in a boot earlier today. Is that a good sign that he'll play tomorrow, that he'll play this weekend, or just a sign that he's trying to make sure that he's going to be 100% ready by next Thursday or Friday whenever they play in the NCAA?
Well, yeah, I heard that from somebody who was around the team that he wasn't in a boot also. I take that as a good sign. I don't take that as a sign necessarily he's going to play. I think if you're Eric Musselman and the coaching staff, you want him and you want everybody as healthy as they can be for the NCAA tournament, and nobody's really 100% this time of the year. You've got aches and pains and different things you've been dealing with. Every time you see Jalen Williams in those interview rooms, he's limping around because he's taking charges and been fighting those big guys under the basket. So these guys, I'm sure they all have different things bothering them, but they're able to play. But if Tony's ankle was to the extent against Tennessee that he couldn't play, Eric said he thought he'd be able to play him 5 to 7 minutes a half, and he just couldn't go. So it's kind of a balancing act. You want to make sure he's ready at his best for the NCAA tournament, as healthy as he can be, but you also would rather that that NCAA tournament opener not be the first time he's played in 2 weeks, because he hadn't played last Wednesday. So, it's a balancing act. I mean, if the ankle's really not ready to play, then, I don't believe they would play him. But if they could play him, I think they'd like to get him a few minutes. And, we'll have to watch, see if he goes out for warm-ups. But, at this point, you gotta be smart and make sure he can be healthy. So I honestly have no idea if he'll play or not today, or maybe he sits out today. And obviously, I have no idea if he'll play tomorrow. And then if they were to win that game, I don't know if he'd play Saturday. But I think they just have to be careful with him.
That is a tricky situation that Eric Musselman and his staff are in right now, because like you said, he didn't play last Sunday. Hasn't played since I can't even. It feels like it wasn't. Who's the game before Tennessee?
Yeah, his last game was a week ago tonight against LSU, and he played a great game. He had points, and Eric said he hurt the ankle like in the last 3 minutes, and it might have been a deal where he did something to it, but you're on adrenaline, and then maybe after the game it swelled up on him, or he started feeling the pain when the adrenaline wore off. But yeah, he got hurt in the LSU game a week ago.
Yeah, so it is a tricky situation of you don't want to completely stop his momentum because he has been giving you a lot of great minutes, but you don't want to take a chance on him possibly re-injuring it or making it even worse just because the SEC tournament, it's important. It's good for banners. It's nice to have a trophy, but it doesn't compare to what you do next week and later into March. We're talking with Bob Holt from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette. Now, Bob, I think it's been a big conversation nationally about the LSU situation and what is going to happen there with Will Wade. Just from your interactions with other media members down there in Tampa from last night and I guess throughout this morning, how big of a conversation has it been surrounding the tournament itself in Tampa?
I'll be honest. Last night I was just over here as a fan, basically, when I was some friends that live down here. But this morning being over here, it's not something that everybody's talking about. I haven't seen any Louisiana media yet, but it's really that's something LSU is apparently going to address, and you could ask about it and hear, Will Wade probably decline comment. But, this stuff, if I recall correctly, it's from 2017, right? So we're talking 5 years. So, the wheels of justice NCAA can move pretty slow. And, of course, this involves other high-profile programs like, Kansas. And, of course, Arizona made a coaching change. But you have other big programs. And, I just don't know how big a factor it is if you feel like something might not happen. They can say they got a, notice of allegations, but, is that going to be resolved in 2 years or something? I mean, I don't know. But I think people have been living with this for so long that I don't want to say it's an afterthought, but I don't know if it's at the forefront of everybody's minds because it's taken so slow. It's like some court case where somebody's out on bail and you never think they're going to come to trial,
Yeah, it does feel that way. It's every time something new happens in this case about once a year, I honestly have to go back and reread articles just to make sure I remember all the facts and remember everything that's going on with this case, going back to the FBI stuff, wiretaps, and, now football's even been tied into it with stuff that happened back when Les Miles was there at LSU. So it's one of those situations that just feels like I don't think it's ever going to come to an actual conclusion. So I'll believe it when I see it. And when it comes to that type of stuff, and especially around this month of March, where the NCAA really makes its money, where it is front stage, front and center, why do you think that the NCAA and the IARP, decided to give out this news 1 week before the biggest month of college athletics starts?
Well, it wasn't like they made a big announcement. I guess Sports Illustrated reported it, and maybe I've missed some stuff. Like you said, it's hard to keep up, but I'm not sure LSU's acknowledged it. I'm not doubting Sports Illustrated's reporting or anything, but so I don't know if they necessarily did it to time up with, conference tournaments right before the NCAA tournament. Maybe this is just when they finally got around to announcing it. But like I say, I think it was Jerry Tarkanian had the classic line years and years ago that the NCAA was so mad at Kentucky they gave another year of probation to Cleveland State. And you do, but now they've hit some big time programs hard. They've hit some big time basketball programs hard. But you do feel like the schools that produce a lot of money, for a lot of people, including the NCAA, that they're maybe going to get the benefit of the doubt, or they're going to, it's like last year Auburn. They had some good players. They weren't having a good year, so they basically took a self-imposed ban of the NCAA tournament. Well, they weren't going to go to the NCAA tournament anyway. A couple of years ago, I guess during the COVID year, they took a bowl ban. Well, they weren't a very good team anyway. I think they went 5-5 and had to rally to do that. And they weren't going to go to a good bowl game. It wasn't like they were going to be a playoff team or anything. So I mean, some of these schools kind of manipulate the system and say, "Oh, we'll see, we punished ourselves," and you're really going, "Well, how is that really a punishment?" But I'm sure in the bylaws, or if you want to be specific about it, they can say, "Well, these schools self-impose things." So, but the thing, I think, a program like Kansas, they don't have bad years where they're going to not go to the NCAA tournament. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but you do feel like certain programs, I don't know if they're untouchable, but that they're, that you just wonder how hard the NCAA is going to hit them because they've been so important to the popularity of college basketball.
Yeah, I mean, biggest example of that, you go back not too long ago in recent history, go back to North Carolina, the biggest academic scandal ever in all of college athletics, and I could not tell you one punishment, one sanction that they had to follow through on. And then you see some other schools that do the self-imposed bans on postseason, and then the NCAA decides that they're going to add up on top of that. Bob, just a few more minutes left with you. Appreciate you taking some time to join us today. What are some of your thoughts from Pro Day yesterday in Fayetteville?
Well, I didn't go to it because I was traveling here to Tampa. I read Tom Murphy had a good story on it, but it's good to have a lot of guys out there participating. It shows you had a good season. I think Myron Cunningham and Big John Ridgway looked like they did pretty good on the bench presses. You think linemen would do.
Yeah.
Nobody got hurt. It's always a good thing, but honestly wasn't there. But it sounded like it was a pretty good day for everybody.
Well, we'll end it there, Bob. I appreciate you taking some time. Enjoy Tampa and work on that tan for us, all right? Football might be over this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pros and college hoops. For all the latest odds, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all your sports betting needs. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's promo code BLEAV. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.